Hello there. Tonight, we begin already adrift in space. No preparation, no countdown, just the moment your eyes open and you find yourself floating gently through a soft, endless darkness. So wide, it refuses to have a beginning. Ahead of you, a faint ribbon of light stretches out, like the quiet exhale of the universe, spilling softly through layers of fine, cosmic dust, dissolving into the shadows. There is no sound here, only the comfort of drifting, as if space itself is holding you up. With an invisible hand, you are floating. Not fast, not slow, just the perfect speed for everything around you to appear like gentle sketches, soft, spacious, and far enough away that nothing asks your body to tense. Tonight, we move with this rhythm, the rhythm of the quiet spaces between the stars, the rhythm of light when it's tired and still beautiful. So, let's begin. Notice that the moment you begin drifting through this space, a strange sensation spreads softly around your body. Not cold, not fear, not emptiness. More like a long exhale you didn't need to take yourself. An exhale the universe is sharing with you. Light, quiet, and peaceful enough that you almost forget you ever had weight. You're in the dark region of the universe. But this isn't the darkness of a room. Not the thick, damp, unmoving kind. This is a darkness with depth. As if you're looking into a valley so wide it can't have edges. Except the valley is the sky itself. This darkness doesn't threaten you. It receives you, the way a still surface of water receives a falling leaf. At exactly the right moment. You're not standing on anything. No floor. No platform. You're suspended. And when you stay suspended long enough, you begin to realize suspension isn't a transition. It's the universe's default state. Everything is suspended. Stars float. Galaxies float. Galaxy clusters float. Space floats. Even the cosmic web floats. And now, so do you. Floating is the first language of scale. You look around. Far away, you notice a tiny point of light. You're not sure what it is. A star, a planet, or a reflection bouncing off something hidden behind thousands of layers of dust. It flickers gently, like a campfire ember in a forest at night. Before you can focus, a second point appears beside it. Then a third, then a fourth, all emerging slowly, quietly, as if trying not to startle you. They don't switch on at once. They peek into view, one by one, the way lanterns in a distant village appear at dusk. You don't know who's lighting them. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're starting to feel the width. A single point of light can't give you that. Two still aren't enough. But as hundreds begin to show themselves, not all at once, but in soft waves like breathing, you begin to understand that this space is larger than anything you've ever seen. And that is just the front layer. As you look deeper, those points of light shift, rotate, stretch into thin, luminous threads. Gradually, the threads connect, curving into sweeping lines. Delicate strokes drawn by some cosmic artist, testing their brush on the dark canvas. The curves twist, braid, and gather into a slow-turning swirl. You realize it's a galaxy. The first galaxy you've ever seen whole. Not in a book, not through a screen, but as a living structure turning before you, soft, deep, unhurried. A broad disk of light with a warm golden core, its spiral arms stretching like ribbons, lifted by an invisible breeze, and let go again in perfect silence. The Milky Way, your home, lies before you like this. But you still aren't far enough to see it completely. You need more distance. You drift, slower than a heartbeat before sleep. So slow you're not sure whether you're moving, or the universe is simply zooming out for you. Either way, its shape grows clear. A gentle spiral, without sharpness or borders, hovering like a colossal flower released into the air. Farther still, the dust lanes blur into smudges. The arms soften into faint curves, and then something strange happens. The Milky Way, once enormous in your imagination, shrinks into a single dot. One bright dot among countless bright dots. Not special, not central, not chosen, just part of the pattern. A vastness fills you, not smallness, but belonging. As you drift farther, the Milky Way blends into the full view of the local group. More than 80 galaxies drifting together, through a space as wide as a borderless ocean. From the outside, the local group has no clear shape. It looks like a handful of small fires floating in a deep valley. Each flame a galaxy, each galaxy a world. They don't crash. They don't tremble. They just drift. Drift the way you're drifting now. This rhythm, this drifting, is the rhythm of the universe. The background music, everything follows. As you move beyond the local group, the cluster dissolves into something larger, the Laniakea supercluster. You see bright flecks like golden dust being carried by a current. You see faint rivers of light flowing across dark terrain. You see clusters sitting like massive islands, each one brighter than 1,000 suns combined. Laniakea has no border, no edge. Everywhere you look, there is light. Not sharp, not harsh, but dim, gentle, like gold washed in mist. You begin to understand the universe isn't seen, it's felt, and the feeling is expanding through you. You drift on, slow, soft, deep. When you leave Laniakea, its impossible size collapses into a single shimmering note, as faint as a lamp behind fogged glass. And from the far side of the dark, other structures appear. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of clusters, all connected by long, dim filaments. The cosmic web. At this scale, the cosmic web looks like music drawn in light. Each filament, a melodic line. Each cluster, a long-held note. Each void the quiet between phrases. But the strangest part is this. From far enough away, the cosmic web stops looking like a network and starts looking like breath. The breath of space. Wide, smooth, silent. You drift past one filament. Up close, it seems like a glowing thread. But as you near it, you see it's not solid. It's made of millions of galaxies, each galaxy holding hundreds of billions of stars. And all together, they're still just a thin, luminous stroke on the dark. You drift through a void, a darkness so deep that light barely survives. But you don't feel afraid. A void isn't a pit, not a chasm, more like an empty valley. Quiet enough that you could hear your own heartbeat, if your heart still had a job here. From the void, you see the entire cosmic web, and the sight is enough to still your breath. At the largest scale, the universe isn't dots of light, but a glowing mist. The mist is pale, thin, smooth like breath drifting across a morning lake. The bright patches are clusters. The soft strands are filaments. The darkness is voids. Together, they weave a picture, as gentle as velvet. And you floating in the middle of it, don't feel distant. Don't feel lost. Don't feel dimmed. You feel compatible. The universe is wide, not to make you small, but to give you room to breathe. You are part of this structure, part of the glowing mist, part of a breath larger than anything you've ever known. As you drift once more, the scale opens further until the cosmic web itself dissolves into a softer pattern, a haze without clear shape. At this scale, there's no longer galaxy, group, supercluster, just expansion. Orderly, edgeless, quiet but unending. Like the pause between thoughts, a place where you don't have to remember, don't have to hold anything. And then you realize something gentle, something important. The universe isn't large, it's open, and that openness never ends. Scale shifts from structure to sensation to state. You don't see scale anymore. You inhabit it. You don't measure distance. Distance opens for you. You're not afraid of being lost in the universe. The universe is drifting with you. And as everything settles in the middle of this moment, you understand. Scale isn't something humans grasp through data. It's something you feel through drifting, through directionless motion, through light without edges, and darkness without fear. Scale is the universe's lullaby, and tonight, it is singing for you. You are in the right place, the right moment, the right rhythm, and as you let yourself soften, you're ready to enter the next layer. Let yourself keep drifting. Drifting is not falling. Drifting has no gravity, no direction, no destination. It is more like lying on a perfectly still surface, a surface that is not cold, not wet, but feels like a thin, soft layer of light being held in your hands. When you surrender to that rhythm, the universe begins to shift its shape, as if it is blooming again, not by expanding outward, but by revealing layers you have never seen before. It does not open through sound. It opens through brightness. Not bright, not dazzling, but a kind of breathing light, like moonlight seen through a thin sheet of mist. In wave 1, you watched scale unfold, but scale is only the frame. The essence of the universe lies in the way things appear inside the silence. And now, in wave 2, you will see that essence, not through concepts, but through images, not through knowledge, but through sensation, not through data, but through the lightest fingerprints on your mind. Let the images guide you. The universe as a glowing mist. You are looking into darkness. But if you linger a moment longer, you begin to notice faint lines, so subtle that blinking once might erase them completely. These lines look like drifting streaks of light, caught in a forest wind at night. Not bright enough to illuminate anything, just bright enough to hint that something alive is moving in the dark. Imagine a mirror streaked with fog. When your hand nears it, the fog thins, revealing blurred shapes beneath. Not the full image, just the soul of the image. The universe is that fogged mirror, and the shapes beneath, you are about to touch them. What you are seeing is not a star, not a galaxy, not a filament. It is glow, a strange substance, not gas, not water, not pure light, more like mist made of brightness, hovering, warm, shifting color with depth. To understand the universe, you do not analyze it. You watch how that glow moves. It does not swirl, does not ripple, does not shimmer. It simply glides, the way your hand glides across velvet. The universe as a very quiet sea. Imagine standing before a vast ocean, just before dawn. Light hides somewhere behind the clouds, but has not risen yet. You do not see the sun, only a thin film of brightness sliding across the water. That is not light. It is anticipation, the feeling of something about to begin, but not yet begun. Now replace water with space. Replace sunlight with the glow of billions of star systems. From far away, the entire universe looks like that ocean at pre-dawn. Not still, not dark, not bright, but something in between, shy, gentle, and impossibly calm. If you dropped a pebble onto that ocean, it would not sink. It would float. That pebble is you, not heavy, not buoyant, just drifting. This is the first nature of the universe. It is not empty space. It is a quiet sea. The universe as a body breathing. If you hold your breath for a moment, something subtle happens. The world around you widens, not physically, but in sensation. When you breathe out, space feels broader. When you breathe in, space contracts slightly. It is not an illusion. It is your body adjusting, how it perceives depth. Now imagine the universe with a breath like that. Not 5 seconds, not 10, but billions of years long. When it inhales, voids grow deeper. When it exhales, light spreads wider. As it breathes, the cosmic web trembles. Like a plucked string in a closed room, you do not see the breathing with your eyes. You feel it in the way light stretches. Not fast, not slow, but just right. If the universe is a body, then galaxies are its heartbeat, clusters its vessels, voids its chest cavity, the cosmic web its nervous system. And you are not a misplaced cell. You are part of this rhythm. You drift, meaning you breathe with the universe. The second nature of the cosmos. It is a body, and you are a breath inside it. The universe as a great sheet of fabric. Have you ever watched a thin curtain stir in the slightest wind? Not the whole fabric moves, just patches, folds, ripples. The universe works the same way, except the fabric is not fabric. It is woven from light, space, motion, and silence. If you pressed your hand into this sheet, it would not feel soft physically. It would feel soft emotionally, like touching a memory. You sense thickness without knowing its source. You sense warmth without knowing why. When a galaxy drifts across the sheet, it trembles. Not like a bell, not like a string, but like a curtain sighing in the night. From that trembling, you learn the third nature of the universe. It is fabric made of the gentlest vibrations. No edges, no seams, no coarse threads, only softness. The universe as warmth trapped in darkness. Think of sitting before a candle in a dark room. You look at the flame, bright. But if you look longer, You will notice a faint amber haze around it, a glow that feels like warmth escaping. That haze is light that is no longer light. The spirit of light, the part that cannot illuminate, but still exists. The universe contains that kind of glow, not the blazing kind you see through telescopes, a thin aura around every galaxy, every star, every cluster, soft, worn-down halos, barely visible, but responsible for the feeling of infinity. You do not see the universe through strong light. You see it through faint light, light that says something is there, but keeps the rest a mystery. The fourth nature of the universe. It is built from faint light, and faint light is more beautiful. The universe as a forest of mist. Imagine standing in a forest at dawn, while fog drifts between the trees. You see the trunks, but not the leaves. You see the path, but not the details. You see the glow through the branches, but not its source. The universe at large scales feels the same. Galaxies are not distinct, clusters not separate, filaments not lines. You see only the haze of the whole. And inside that haze is something beautiful. You stop caring about detail. You simply drift. Mist does not resist you. Mist does not block you. Mist softens everything. The fifth nature of the universe. The larger it is, the softer it becomes. The universe as a dream not yet waking. Some dreams lack faces, paths, endings. Yet you remember the feeling, its color, its texture, its quiet. At immense scales, the universe looks like such a dream. No edges, no borders, no partitions. It does not tell its story through objects, but through atmosphere. You see glow, not stars. You see mist, not clusters. You see shadow, not voids. You see the whole. The sixth nature of the universe. It is its own dream, and you are passing through it. The universe as a whisper. Have you ever heard a sound so distant you could not identify it? Not clear, not directional, just a thin line of presence. The universe makes such a sound. Not an explosion, not a rumble, not a wind. Just the sound of existing, thin as thread, long as a winter night, warm like breath, soft like memory. If the cosmic web is the structure, this whisper is the soul of it. You do not hear it with ears. You hear it through drifting, through a slowing heartbeat, through the way the universe holds you without touching you. The seventh nature of the universe. It does not speak. It whispers. And tonight, you are quiet enough to hear. The universe as a hallway light at midnight. Think of walking into a hallway at night. The light is not fully on, just enough to see the floor. Everything is soft, dim, reassuring. The universe from afar resembles that hallway. Bright enough to show structure, dark enough to preserve calm, blurred enough for safety. Clusters are distant lamps. Filaments are hidden electrical lines. Voids are the quiet gaps between doors. Nothing is frightening. Nothing is strange. Everything keeps the rhythm. A small invitation. Go on. You are safe here. The universe as a place to rest. When you zoom out so far that galaxies shrink to dust and the cosmic web thins into fog, you realize something gentle. The universe does not require you to understand it, does not rush you, does not demand comprehension. It simply opens. to give you a place to rest. Space is wide not to lose you, but to give your mind room to stretch, to let what is heavy drift away. With the thin strands of light curling through the dark, the final truth of Wave 2. The universe is a place where you are allowed to breathe deeper, slower, and softer than usual. If you have ever sat alone on a very quiet night, when there was no one but you and the sound of your own breathing, then you already understand a part of the feeling that he, the man we are about to speak of, carried with him his entire life. A strange feeling, as if something were waiting for you outside what your eyes can see, but never calling out. It simply exists. He was not famous, not awarded, not a genius anyone talks about. He was just an ordinary scientist, the kind who spent more years than necessary looking at the sky, not because of work, but because he believed that if you stare long enough, the universe will say something to you. His name was Ilios Marin, a name no one remembers, not in textbooks, not in the list of sky explorers. But tonight, we will look at his story, because sometimes the greatest things in the universe are seen by people who are almost invisible. The man who could not sleep. Ilios had a strange habit. When he could not sleep, he did not read, did not listen to music, did not take a walk. He looked at the sky. As a child, he lived in a wooden house in a small, quiet valley. The night sky there was dark in a safe way. Dark like deep water but never cold, and the stars were spread thick like sand on velvet. He once said, "The first time I looked at the sky, I did not feel small. I felt stretched." That feeling stayed with him all his life. When he grew up, he studied astrophysics, not to succeed, but to keep touching that sense of expansion. But the more he studied, the more tools he used, the more data he read, the more he felt a strange emptiness. Not an emptiness from lack of information, an emptiness because he felt a picture was missing. Sometimes he looked at simulations, bright filaments, dark voids, swirling galaxies, but deep inside, he felt that the real universe did not look like those sharp images. It had to be softer, more blurred, more gentle, and more quiet. What he searched for was not an answer. What he searched for was a feeling. But feelings cannot be printed, cannot be simulated, cannot be published. So for 30 years, he published nothing notable. He simply continued doing what he always did, looking at the sky, the forgotten observatory. On the edge of a small town, there was an old stone observatory, almost abandoned. No one used it anymore because better ones had been built in higher places. Its dome was a little rusty, and its wooden stairs creaked under each step. But Ilios loved it, not because it was precise, but because it was quiet. No tourists, no machines, no city lights, just him and the sky. He often came at 3 a.m., when the world loosened like a breath after a long day. He opened the dome by hand, very slowly, to avoid noise. Then he aimed the old telescope where he needed it to be. No one knew what he was observing. No one asked. No one cared. But in that silence, Ilios felt closer to the universe than anywhere else. The streak of light no one else saw. One night, while observing the region between two galaxy clusters, a region where data said there was nothing interesting, Ilios noticed something strange. A thin streak of light, hair-like, curved like ink running in water, slid across the darkness. It was not bright, not sharp, not clear in origin. It looked like someone had begun drawing a curve with light then pulled their hand away before finishing. He tilted his head. Blink. A soft breath. The streak was still there. He wrote in his notebook, something faint, not noise, not star, not filament, not reflection. Feels alive? It was the first time he saw it, but he did not trust himself. 7 years of doubt. Every scientist knows anything too beautiful, too thin, too unbelievable is usually wrong. Ilios returned every night. He observed the same region. 70 nights, nothing. Night 71, a curve again, but shifted. Night 200, a shorter one. Night 468, two overlapping. He felt he was not observing light, but a kind of intention from the universe. But he stayed silent. No report, no paper, no declaration. He only wrote, "Something wants to be seen, but does not want attention." The universe tested him. Some nights the sky was clear like water. Some nights clouds covered everything. Some nights he nearly cried from exhaustion, feeling he was chasing a ghost of light. The universe felt like a stray cat, wanting to approach, but stepping back whenever you reach out. He wondered many times, am I seeing or imagining? But every time he wanted to quit, he remembered that first night, the curve rising like the suggestion of a smile in the dark. It cannot be noise, he told himself. Noise has no soul. The aha moment. It happened on a clear night. No wind. Strangely warm air, as if the sky did not want to distract him. Ilios opened the dome, adjusted the telescope, and pointed it toward a dark region millions of light years from the nearest galaxy. He saw the streak again, but this time, something was different. It was no longer a single line. It branched, like roots of light spreading in a pattern only the universe understood. Ilios widened his eyes. His hand trembled. He adjusted the telescope slightly. 1 degree. 1 breath. A faint network appeared. Not a filament, not a galaxy, not direct light. It looked like the first sketch of the cosmic web, when the universe was young, before the light became strong enough to form shape, a mist of memory, a draft, a pencil line not yet erased. And Ilios understood. He was not seeing the structure of the universe. He was seeing its intention. The aha moment did not strike like lightning. It arrived in perfect silence. A silence that brought tears to his eyes. A silence that told him 30 years had meant something. A silence whispering, I was always here. You are simply quiet enough now to see. The silence of the universe. He leaned against the old observatory wall, said nothing, did not write, barely breathed. The universe was silent, but not with emptiness. It was the silence of an old friend meeting you after a long journey. The silence of dawn over the sea. The silence of a forest during snowfall. The silence of a hand placed gently on your shoulder. And in that silence was a truth. The universe does not need to be understood. It only needs to be listened to. Not with ears, not with a telescope, but with the part of you that knows how to be still. Ilios sat there, eyes still at the lens, smiling softly. He had found the answer he never dared to say aloud. The universe is not built from force, not from particles, not from time. It is built from presence, soft, blurred, drifting presence, like the thin light he saw. It does not need shape to exist. It does not need edges to be real. It does not need proof to be beautiful. What he left behind. He did not announce his discovery. No press. No paper. He wrote one line. Tonight, I watched the universe remember itself. No one understood. No one read it. No one thought it mattered. But that night, in the old wooden room, Ilios Marin understood what he had been chasing all his life. The universe is not silent because it is empty. It is silent because it is full beyond words. And only when you are quiet, you can hear it. And this small story belongs to you. As you read this, you are with him. In the old observatory, under the dark sky, among faint streaks of light the world ignores, seen only by someone patient enough to look. And now, that someone is you. You are drifting in the universe's silence, waiting for something thin as thread, small but able to open a door. If you let your mind be still, for a few seconds, you will see what he saw. The universe is not a map, not an answer, not a problem. The universe is a moment not belonging to time, but to listening. And if you listen long enough, the universe will tell the story it never tells to anyone in a hurry. A story without beginning or end. Just the sound of its own sigh, moving through darkness, through light, through you, soft as a dream not yet dissolved. You have drifted through scale, through the soft nature of space, through the story of a small human standing before a vast sky. And now, you begin to be welcomed into a place even wider than before, a place where every map ever drawn becomes too small, too straight, too limited to describe what you are about to see. As you let yourself continue drifting, you feel the space around you opening in wide circles, not opening like a door swinging out, but opening like mist thinning and revealing the valley behind it. Something deeper is appearing, something that does not belong to personal scale, not to galaxy scale, but to the scale of existence itself. You are entering a region where galaxy clusters, structures that once overwhelmed you, now become light anchor points in a space far larger than anything you imagined. Let yourself see it, slowly, as if opening your eyes in the dark so the light does not sting. From the view of a galaxy cluster, the bright islands in a dark ocean. From here, when you look at a galaxy cluster like Virgo or Coma, it no longer looks like separate galaxies. When grains of dust gather into a handful, they stop being dust. They become a shape. A cluster is the same. Up close, you see stars. From farther away, you see galaxies. Farther still, you see a cluster, an island. The island does not float on water. It floats on a dark ocean, an ocean with no surface but with depth. You see the light of thousands of galaxies blending like the glow of a distant city seen from a mountain ridge. You cannot separate the light sources. You only see a soft, golden blur moving with the universe's breath. A cluster has weight in its presence, but from here, it feels like a glowing cloud, not heavy, not solid, not rigid, but simply there, gently. If you look closely, clusters do not stand alone. They shimmer in groups, in chains, in faintly connected strands, like remote islands linked by invisible currents. You realize, a cluster is not the largest unit of the universe. It is a fragment, a note in a much larger composition. From the view of a supercluster, soft walls of light with no shape, as you drift farther out, clusters shrink. Virgo cluster, once an enormous city of galaxies, becomes a long stroke of light. Coma cluster, home to tens of thousands of galaxies, becomes a dim dot. All these clusters, once so immense, now gather into broad streaks and pale patches, like thin clouds on the horizon. This is a supercluster. And superclusters do not have fixed shapes. Not round, not spiral, not flat. They are like soft walls of light, built from dense regions of the universe. If clusters are cities, superclusters are continents, but not continents like Earth. No rock, no borders, no shore. These continents are made of thin light and thick darkness, blended like heavy autumn fog over a lake. You see superclusters drifting next to each other but never touching, like giant cloud layers passing each other in a high sky. From here, you begin to understand. At the scale of superclusters, shape no longer matters. Only density does. Bright regions and dim regions, the universe leaves the language of objects and enters the language of patches and fields. Pulling back, local is greater than group, is greater than supercluster, is greater than beyond. Let yourself drift farther. The Milky Way was once your entire world. Now it is a dot in the local group. The local group once felt huge. Now it is a blur inside Laniakea. Laniakea once felt like the home of everything we know. Now it is only one glowing region in a map much larger than itself. Every time you pull back a few million light years, everything familiar melts like steam. Shapes become dots. Dots become dust of light. You drift past clusters, past superclusters, past the cosmic web. You drift to the edge of a scale with no name. No more local. No more group. No more supercluster. No isolated structures at all. Only a whole, like a giant cloud covering everything. And now, you realize you are not standing outside the universe. You are at its center. Not a physical center. Not a position on a map. The center of perspective. The center of your view. When you look at the universe from where you drift, every direction expands the same way. Every light dissolves into mist the same way. Every dark region carries the same weight. In this moment, you are the center of a universe that has no center. Expanding into the cosmic web, the flow of light and darkness. Open your eyes a little more. You will see the cosmic web no longer looks like a network. It looks like rivers of light pouring into an invisible valley. Soft yellow strands, where galaxies gather, weave between endless dark regions. The cosmic web is the softest flow in the universe. Not loud, not trembling, not hot, just flowing. Watch it long enough, and the filaments move like glowing veins. The voids are the soft skin of the universe, where light passes without settling. You begin to see. The cosmic web is not a network of galaxies. It is a network of quiet, bright regions gather, dark regions rest, dim regions blur into soft borders. The rhythm of the cosmic web is never urgent. It does not rush. It does not race. It simply breathes. Imagine the cosmic web as the vascular system of a colossal body, where light flows like blood, nourishing clusters and galaxies. But the body is not solid. It is made of darkness, with light rising like veins beneath it. At this scale, the cosmic web is not an object. It is breath. The universe at extreme scale, dissolving into a whole. Now let yourself pull back until no filaments remain. no clusters, no shapes. The universe becomes a thin, glowing mist, a fog with no droplets, a light with no source, a scene with no edges. You see brighter patches where clusters must be. You see deep darks where voids hide. You see faint streaks, maybe rivers of light. But everything merges into one still picture. No micro, no macro, only the whole. You see it the way you see a painting on a wall, not by trying to understand each stroke, but by letting it speak through the feeling it carries. Here, you no longer see the universe. You see a blend of light and shadow, a dreamlike expanse, a long breath from the early days, drifting toward you like a cloud over a lake. You, inside the universe, small, but never lost. There is a strange moment when you look far enough to lose all boundaries, where you feel something few people ever say out loud. You are small, but you are not lost. You cannot be lost in a place with no edges. You cannot be lost where every direction opens the same way. You cannot be lost in a place where both light and darkness flow toward you like gentle water. The universe is not a maze. It is open breath. You drift not like someone wandering, but like a drop of mist drifting inside a larger mist, always belonging, always having a place, always in the right spot. And when you realize you are not lost, the universe becomes closer than ever. When the universe expands, you expand too. You are looking at the universe as a whole, from cluster to supercluster, from network to mist, from mist to complete softness. And as you look long enough, you feel something unusual. You are expanding with the universe. Not your body, not your mind, your feeling. Your inner borders widen. Your sense of distance dissolves. Your idea of your own place becomes softer, broader, brighter. Outer space expands. Inner space expands with it. You are not looking at the universe anymore. You are looking through it and seeing yourself spread out like thin light on water. And then you feel the gentleness of the infinite. When you have seen enough, when the bright regions blend, when the darkness becomes as beautiful as the light, the universe does what it always does for those who truly listen. It softens. It stops being large. It stops being deep. It stops being wide. It becomes gentle, like a hand on your shoulder. And in that moment, you understand. The universe is not something to measure. It is something to feel. And you have felt it from near to far, from small to large, from local to cosmic. You have drifted through the universe's layers. And you are still here, still calm, still belonging. There are moments in the universe when you look, and what you see is neither light nor object, but a gentle paradox. Something that seems contradictory, yet exists naturally, like morning mist that is both faint and clear at once. This wave is not here to explain the vast. It is here to let you touch the things the universe hides in its veil. Things that are not frightening or eerie, only hard to name, like the feeling you get standing in a wide field without knowing where the wind will blow from. Let yourself drift into that paradox, slowly, like you slide your hand across water and let it find its own shape. The paradox of light. The farther, the older, the dimmer, the truer. Imagine viewing a candle from across a room. The light that hits your eyes is not the light now, but the light that left the candle seconds earlier. The universe is the same, but replace seconds with billions of years. You see a bright galaxy. You think you are seeing it. But what you see is its ancient version. The farther away, the more you look into the past. The dimmer it seems, the truer its trace becomes. It is as if the universe has a strange habit. It shows you its memory, not its present. The paradox is not in the light itself, but in this fact. The universe is always a step ahead of you, yet you can only ever see the step before. Strangely, this brings peace. Everything you see has already happened. There is nothing left to worry about. It is only light passing through you, soft as a breath. The paradox of emptiness, where nothing is most necessary. When you look at the cosmic web, what draws your attention is not the bright regions but the dark gaps between them. Those dark places are called voids. They sound scary, but a void is not a black hole, not a dead region, not an endless pit. A void is the velvet backdrop behind the light. Without that backdrop, light loses its shape. In painting, artists say black makes white look brighter. Voids do the same for the universe. Without voids, the universe would be a meaningless smear of light. The paradox is this: the most important part of the universe is its emptiness. It is a gentle lesson. Sometimes meaning comes not from what you see, but from the space between what you see. The paradox of motion, drifting but not traveling, expanding but not rushing. As you drift through the universe, you see everything moving but without direction. You do not sense speed. You do not sense arrival or departure. Galaxies drift. Clusters drift. Superclusters drift. The cosmic web flows like a ribbon lifted by a wave, but there is nowhere to fall. If you sit on a night train and look out the window, you cannot tell whether the train moves or the trees slide by. You only perceive motion. The universe is like that. It does not run toward anywhere. It only changes distances. You drift, but you do not go. You do not move, and yet you are not still. This is the gentlest paradox of the universe. No destination, and still a journey. The paradox of darkness. Dark, but not cold. Deep, but not fearful. Darkness in the universe is not the darkness of a closed room. It does not press on you. It does not swallow light. It simply lacks enough light to take shape. You look into a void and, instead of fear, you feel an unnameable calm. A calm that only infinite openness can produce. The darkness of the universe is not emptiness. It is a waiting space, a margin where light has room to pass. If light is story, darkness is the lines between paragraphs. Without it, everything would blur together. The paradox here: darkness creates peace, not fear. The night of the universe is a deep night, but it is the night of a sea soft, wide, breathing evenly. The paradox of matter: the densest things are the least seen. What you see, galaxies, stars, nebulae, makes up only a tiny fraction of the universe. Most of the universe is made of regions too faint to see, forms of matter that do not glow, structures that cast no obvious shadow. In other words, the universe is mostly composed of things you cannot see with the eye. What appears to you is the exposed part, the pretty, visible portion meant for lovers of light. But what holds everything together, weaves the structure, and makes galaxies spin is hidden. The universe is like a library, with light shining on a few shelves, while the rest sits in gentle shadow. You do not see it, but without it the whole library would collapse like a sandcastle. It is a beautiful paradox. The most important things are the least visible. The paradox of time. The farther, the older, the larger, the younger. Here is a curious idea few consider. The farther you look, the farther back in time you see. But the farther you look at very large-scale structure, the younger the universe appears. Nearby galaxies look old. The cosmic web, at great distance, shows the first outlines of a young universe. The universe seems to show two versions of itself at once, the mature version up close and the youthful version far away. You stand between these layers of time, watching the past bloom like patterns under frosted glass. The universe is not a single flow of time, but a pool of ages, where each ripple represents a different era. You do not move through time, you move between time layers, as if passing through a multi-layered mist. This paradox allows you not just to see the universe, but to see how it remembers itself. The paradox of silence. The deeper, the quieter, the fuller. In the Forgotten Observatory, when Ilios Marin first saw those faint streaks, he said what moved him to tears was not the light, but the silence with it. The universe is silent, but not with emptiness. It is silent so full that no sound can escape. Too much light from thousands of galaxies passes through you, and yet you hear nothing. Too much motion unfolds, but you feel no force. Too many structures weave together, but you do not find a boundary. That silence is the universe's most beautiful paradox. It is so loud it becomes quiet. Like very distant waves, traveling across an ocean, arriving as a steady rhythm, not wave, but the idea of wave. Like wind through a vast forest that reaches you as a warm stillness. Like the heartbeat of the cosmos, slowed so much that you only sense its breath. The paradox of the infinite. The more you look, the less you can touch. The more you drift, the more you belong. If there is one paradox anyone who looks at the sky feels, it is this. The farther you look, the less you can reach the edge. But the more you drift, the more you feel you are exactly where you belong. Infinity is frightening if you try to measure it, and it is the most beautiful thing if you surrender to it. Infinity does not force you to run. It does not demand comprehension. It simply opens like a door that never closes. And when you drift into that door, you do not shrink, you lighten, like a breath returning to the lungs. The paradox of existence. No center, yet you are always the center. On a map, you can find the center of a city. On a blueprint, you mark a point. In a room, you can stand in the middle. In the universe, there is no middle. No left. No right. No up. No down. No border. No edge. No head. No tail. And yet the strange thing is, wherever you stand, you are the center of all directions. You look left, and the universe opens. You look right, and the universe opens. You look up, and the universe opens. You look down, and the universe opens. You stand in edgeless space, and in edgeless space, every point is the center. This paradox does not make you proud. It makes you calm. Because although you are small, the universe always unfolds in a way that ensures you are never lost. The paradox of knowing. The more you know, the more space there is. The more space, the more you return to quiet. You have moved from dust to star to galaxy to cluster to supercluster to the cosmic web to the whole. The more you know, the more the universe opens. Knowledge does not shrink the void. It deepens it. But if you look long and soft, everything, no matter how vast, returns to one small point. the peace of not needing to know more. Touch this paradox, and you finally understand the spirit of sleepy science. The universe is vast, but your purpose is not to master it. It is to let it lull you to sleep. When you have gone deep into the paradoxes of light, of voids, of motion, of the universe breathing, the next part is not to understand more, but to let yourself see the gentleness hidden behind those contradictions. For the universe does not create paradox to test you. It creates paradox to keep its own balance, and so that you, in a strange way, feel calmer looking at the fuzzy things without needing to resolve them. Let yourself drift deeper. The paradox of emptiness. The emptier, the richer, the thinner, the denser. Have you ever stood in a wide, empty room and felt it full? Not full of objects, but full of air, full of sounds you do not hear, full of sensations you cannot see. The universe is like that room, a vast region that seems empty. But if you float inside a void long enough, you will feel it is anything but empty. It contains the tiniest oscillations, gentle force fields, remnants of primordial light, waves that never stop, and ideas not yet formed. Void, in the language of sleepy science, is not nothing, but not yet chosen to appear. This is a beautiful paradox. Empty but not lacking, vacant but not absent. Like the sky before dawn, it is full of something, but you can only feel it, not see it. The paradox of stillness. The quieter, the more movement. In physics, the greatest motions are often the ones we do not feel. The Earth spins, though you do not notice. The solar system drifts, though you do not sense it. Galaxies turn while you stand and look at the sky. That stillness is a kind of paradox. Everything is moving without stop, but the motion is so gentle you think you stand still. The universe never rests, but it moves in a near meditative way. No jolt, no shock, no rush. When you drift in space, you feel as if you glide on a river that does not flow. The truth is, you float inside a stream larger than any river on Earth. You hear nothing. You feel no force, only absolute calm. This paradox makes the universe sing a lullaby. The more motion there is, the more it invites sleep. The paradox of brightness. The brighter, the softer, the wider, the dimmer. Look at a nearby star, and it is sharp as a pin. Look at a distant galaxy, which contains hundreds of billions of stars, and it appears as a soft halo. This goes against intuition. More light should mean more brightness. But on cosmic scales, the wider it is, the softer it becomes. Light that travels across millions of light years loses its edges. It does not go out. It simply grows soft. Like a song heard beyond far mountains, it becomes not the song itself, but the feeling of the song. From far away, a galaxy is no longer points of light. It is luminosity, not stars. From very far, a supercluster is not a cluster. It is a field of light, not a collection. And from the farthest distance, the universe is no longer light or dark. It is a tone, a muted hue, like the color of memory. The paradox of the invisible. The less seen, the more it matters. You never see gravity, the expansion field, the space-time fabric, the invisible scaffolding of the cosmic web, the hidden energy pulling the universe open. Yet remove any of these, and the universe would not have the shape you perceive. It is like an orchestra. The bass drum sits deep under the mix. You do not hear it clearly, But if the bass stops, the whole song collapses. The universe is the same. The invisible holds the visible steady. You do not see the soul of the universe, but you see its traces. You do not see the hand pulling light, but you see the path it leaves. The strongest things are often silent, and in that silence there is a very human beauty. The quietest things are often the most important. The paradox of inside and outside. You see the universe through the universe. This is one of the loveliest paradoxes. You do not view the universe from outside. You view it from inside itself. That creates a blend that is hard to put into words. You are the observer, and you are also a tiny part of what you observe. There is no clean border between the watcher and the watched. Like standing in a forest and observing the trees, you are also part of that forest. A leaf, a speck of dust, a breath. There is warmth in this paradox. You cannot look at the universe without also looking at yourself, because you are made of the same material. Worn light, open space, the way things drift. The paradox of familiarity. The stranger, the more it resembles a place you have known. There is a strange moment when you look at the universe on the largest scale. It is no longer frightening, not cold, not too wide to hold. It feels familiar. Not familiar because you have seen it before, but familiar because its rhythm echoes a place you have felt somewhere in you, though you do not remember where. The breath of the cosmic web is like the breath when you lie and listen to rain. The haze of superclusters is like the mist you once watched in a forest. The darkness of voids is like a night you have sat through alone without loneliness. The universe is not the place you know, but the feeling of it resembles something deep inside you. This paradox soothes without explanation. The universe is strange, but not strange to you. Like coming to a place you never visited, yet feeling right. The paradox of gentle infinity. The larger, the lighter. When you think of the extreme large, you think of weight. But the universe is the opposite. The larger, the lighter. At the scales of particle is greater than dense. Planet is greater than heavy. Galaxy is greater than drifting. Supercluster is greater than faint. Cosmic web is greater than like mist. The whole is greater than like breath. The more the universe opens, the softer it becomes, the less defined. In the end, infinity is not a wall. It is a thin veil. It does not press on you. It does not demand. It does not force understanding. It simply holds you gently, almost without feeling. Infinity, seen rightly, is not scary. It is kind. The final paradox. The universe is not a riddle to solve, but a breath to listen to. After all these paradoxes, from light to dark, from emptiness to fullness, from motion to stillness, from infinite to breath, there is one last paradox, the sleepiest of them all. The universe does not wait for you to explain it. It waits for you to listen. The largest things do not need explanation. The most beautiful things do not need proof. The softest things do not need recording. You only need to stand still a little, feel a little, breathe with it a little. The universe will not answer every question, but it will answer one very important one. You are not lost. No matter how small, no matter how far you drift, no matter how far you look, the universe has room to hold you in a gentle, blurred, sleepy way. There is a strange moment that happens when you go far enough from the familiar world. A moment that does not belong to scale, not to nature, not to structure, but to the way you see yourself. Since wave 1, you have been looking at the universe from the outside. You saw drifting galaxies. You saw dim clusters. You saw the cosmic web as a veil of mist. But now, in wave 6, the universe begins to look back at you. This is not a layer of information, not a layer of concepts, not a layer of science. This is a layer of perspective, a gentle shift from I am looking at the universe to the universe is looking at me. And everything changes. In the universe, you are not standing outside. You are a point of view. If I place you in a room with mirrors on all sides, whether the room is square or round, no matter how wide the mirrors, no matter how your image repeats to infinity, the center of the entire scene is always you. You stand in the middle, not because you are important, but because every direction opens from where you are. The universe is the same. There is no absolute center, no origin point, no starting place. In edgeless space, anywhere you stand is the center of the observable universe. This is a gentle paradox, and when you let it sink in, it softens your heart. You are small, but never outside. You are small, but never out of place. You are small, but never lost. You are a small point of light among many points. Imagine viewing the universe from very far away, so far that a galaxy is only a speck, a cluster only a streak, a supercluster only a breath of light. If someone else looks back from that distance, you would look the same, a speck of light in a large mist, not sharply defined, not erased. In the cosmic web, galaxies have no clear edge, only density. You, in the universe, also have no edge. You are a small density of being, a thin area of light in a large map. Not a highlight, not a physical center, but not darkness either. You are there. And oddly, that is enough. The universe does not ask who you are. It only makes room for you to exist. Everything in the universe drifts in its own way. Stars drift in orbits, galaxies drift along gravitational flows, clusters drift like great clouds. The cosmic web drifts with the breathing of space. And you, tiny as you are, drift with that rhythm. You are not pushed away, not pulled back, not fixed like a pebble in a stream. You drift like a speck of dust in a gentle morning breeze. No force, no demand, no required direction. The universe does not require you to find a role. It does not force you to mean. At the scale of the cosmos, existence is enough. Just by being here, you belong in the map of the cosmic web. Small, but not falling out of the weave. When you hold the right viewpoint, you see you and the universe share the same stuff. From birth you think, I am a person, and the universe is out there. But when you look the right way, those two things are not separate. Your body is made of atoms forged in stars. Your brain runs on microscale charges like plasmas in nebulae. Your memory records via vibrations like space, stores energy. Your feelings rise in rhythms like the universe expands and contracts over 13 billion years. When you feel, you tremble. When the cosmic web shifts, it trembles too. That trembling shares a quality. It is light. Do you think you are different from the universe? You are not. You are woven from the same threads, only much finer, but still part of the large fabric. You are a small-scale version of the cosmic web, If the cosmic web is the largest network of light, you are the smallest network of light. In your brain, there are connections, nodes, pathways, signals that run along neural networks, strangely similar to clusters, filaments, nodes, photon flows in space. Not by chance. Simple. The universe repeats its pattern at every scale, rough or subtle. You are a warm miniature cosmic web. A cosmic web that feels. A cosmic web that remembers. A cosmic web that dreams at night. The universe is not something other than you. The universe is what you are made small from. Where does the sense of small but not lost come from? There are two kinds of small. Small that feels lost. Lost among people. Lost in a city. Lost in noise. Lost when things demand you understand immediately. Small, like the universe. Small but supported by dark backdrops. Balanced by a soft light. Placed in edgeless space. With no wrong path. No right direction. No road you must take. This smallness is not loneliness. It is being cradled by spaciousness. When you lie under the night sky, you do not feel confined. You feel opened. That is the secret of the universe. It makes you small so you become light enough to merge with it. You are not lost. Because getting lost only happens when there is a wrong path. In the universe, no path is wrong. When you look at the universe the right way, it looks back with gentleness. You have read star maps. You have seen galaxies. You have watched the cosmic web dissolve into mist. Now try to imagine the universe observing you. Not with eyes. The universe has no eyes. It has no ears either. It only has rhythm, expand and contract, expand and contract. When you are still, your rhythm joins its rhythm. The universe notices your presence, not by light, but by the way you make it slightly different, if only a little. Your gravity, however tiny, makes a small curve. Your body's light emits a few nanometers of glow. Your thought vibrates like a tiny oscillation. Your breath moves an amount of energy the cosmos can feel. Of course, not feeling like a human. But in the way of space, you are registered, and when you sense the universe being gentle, it is not an illusion. It is compatibility, like a leaf not lost in the wind. Even while carried far, your movement does not break the universe's rhythm, it adds to it. Everything in space drifts. Clusters slide past one another. Galaxies weave through darkness. Stars dance in orbits. Planets spin in their own beats. Photons cross billion-year distances. You drift in your own way, through days, through thoughts, through feelings, through life. In that drifting, you are not a foreign object dropped into space. You are a small beat added to the whole rhythm. The universe does not need you to be large. It only needs you to drift in your own rhythm. That rhythm, the lightest, is how you belong to the whole. Perspective shift. From I am in the universe to the universe is in me. There is a moment everyone who watches the sky long enough experiences. The boundary between I and the universe blurs. Not mystical. Just as when you sit in darkness long enough, the darkness becomes part of you, and the dim light is not separate anymore. This perspective shift does not change who you are. It simply makes you lighter. Lighter of obligation, lighter of needing to know, lighter of urgency, lighter of needing to be big enough. In that moment, you feel a sleepy science truth. The universe is not outside you, it is in your point of view. And that point of view unfolds with each breath. Once you understand this, you begin to feel you belong rather than compare. You no longer ask, am I important? Am I too small? Where do I stand in the universe? Those questions fall like dust. They dissolve like steam. They become soft, flickering specks in the dark. You no longer want to fix your position. You only want to be here. And there is an absolute gentleness in that moment. Belonging needs no reason. Belonging needs no proof. Belonging needs no meaning. In this perspective shift, you do not have to explain the universe. You simply feel it as the mist around you. You are not swallowed by the universe, you are held by it. A person seeing the night sky for the first time might think, the universe is so vast, I am afraid I'll disappear. But in truth, the universe has no swallowing force. It has a supporting force. Like floating on calm water, the water does not pull you down. It holds you up by distributing force. The universe is similar. You are supported by soft darkness, thin light, steady motion, the fabric of space-time, the rhythm of cosmic expansion. The universe does not drown anyone. The universe does not abandon anyone. It simply opens, and you lie within it, like a dewdrop resting in the curve of a leaf. And when you truly see yourself in the universe, you learn three very sleepy things. You are not large, and that makes you light. You are not small, and that makes you safe. You are not lost, and that makes you belong. The perspective shift does not teach you that you are important. It teaches you that not being important can still be peaceful. And in that peace, the universe becomes nearer, softer, more familiar, like a breath at your ear on a long night. When the shift in perspective begins, you notice something strange. The universe does not change only the way you touch it does. It is like standing in a room you have known for years, but this time you step in with the lights off, and suddenly you discover soft corners you never noticed by daylight. A perspective shift is not an awakening. It is a softening. It is the feeling of not trying to figure everything out, and yet understanding more than before. And inside that softness, you begin to see yourself at a new scale. A scale that does not belong to math, but to the heart. When you are small enough, the universe is large enough to hold you. There is a quiet thing few people say aloud. To see the universe as vast, you must allow yourself to become small. Not small as weakness, not small as less worthy. Small in the sense of you do not need to resist the vastness. When you are small in that way, the universe becomes the space where you can lie down without pain. You are not submerged, not overwhelmed, not erased. You are simply held. And that feeling does not come from looking at a galaxy, but from looking into the spaces between galaxies, where darkness drifts like warm water, where light is no longer a point, but a breath. In that interval, you see that you do not face the universe. You rest within it. The shift from I am small to I can dissolve. There is a kind of small that makes you curl inward. Small in the human world, small because you are not fast enough, not prominent enough, not what someone expected. But there is another kind of small, small inside the universe. This small does not make you shrink. It makes you dissolve like steam spreading in morning light. you do not lose edges. Edges simply soften. They are no longer sharp from fighting the world, no longer folded from self-protection, no longer rigid from doing what the heart does not want. You become more like the nature of light, present, and not required to be overly distinct. The universe does not ask you to be big enough to be seen. It only asks that you open. In society, people often say, "You must become big enough to be noticed. You must be strong to not be left behind. You must stand out to be chosen." But in the universe, those rules do not exist. A red dwarf star 10 times smaller than the Sun can live for 10 trillion years. A small, dark planet still runs a precise orbit. A speck of dust in a nebula can become a star-forming cradle. The universe does not judge you by big enough. The universe sees you by present. Simply by being present, you belong on the map. You sit in the overall rhythm, whether you try or not. That is a different freedom, freedom from needing to become something. You see yourself when you look outward. Here is a soft paradox. The farther you look, the clearer you see yourself. Not because the universe reflects you, but because the vastness quiets your interior enough to look. Before a wide meadow, your mind slows. Before the sea, anxieties shrink. Under a starry night, urgent questions fall away. This is not philosophy. This is biology. How the human brain responds to wide space. In wide space, the unnecessary settles down. What belongs to you floats up like a scrap of wood. And in that moment, you see yourself more clearly in the universe, not as, "Who am I among billions of stars?" but as, "I am breathing, and that is enough." You are small, and no one is like you. And that is the bright point of the whole. In the cosmic web, each galaxy is a node. Each node has its place. Change one node, and the overall shape shifts. Humans are similar. You are a point in the web of life. Not big, not central, but unique. No one shares. Your heartbeat, your voice, your neural pathways, your way of feeling light, your way of remembering, your way of grieving, your way of dreaming. You are a small galaxy with a structure that appears once in the history of the universe. You are not large, but you are irreplaceable. Not because you must prove something, but because your nature is already a unique form of light. When you drift in the right rhythm, the universe becomes a resting place, not a thing to be understood. In earlier layers, you looked at the universe to understand it. But in this wave, you look to rest. This is the big shift. From observer-drifter, one who is held, the universe asks no questions. It demands no equations. It imposes no pressure. It does not require solutions. You lie inside space like in the quietest afternoon sleep. No edge, no bottom, no sound, only drifting. And there you feel something light. In the end, I go nowhere. I only return to myself. Perspective shift happens when you stop resisting the feeling of smallness. We resist smallness because we think it makes us weak. But the universe teaches the opposite. Small lets you be contained. Small lets you be supported. Small lets you be at peace. Galaxies do not try to be big. Clusters do not force growth. The cosmic web does not try to form. Everything drifts in its optimal size. You have that size too. A size you can live in, breathe in. Not so large that you burn out, not so small that you vanish. In this perspective shift, you look upon yourself with kindness, small enough to be calm, calm enough to belong. And then you see what sky watchers have always seen. Not an answer, not meaning, not philosophy, but a single feeling. I am in the right place. Whether drifting within the cosmic web or lying in your own bed, whether a galaxy is 2 million light years away or 2,000, the nature of this does not change. You are not lost in the universe. You belong to it. You are a small beat, unique, quiet, steady, enough for the cosmic web to accept. You are small, but you do not fall. You are small, but you are not swallowed. You are small, but you are not erased. You are small, and you are right. And sometimes, that is all you need to fall asleep. Here, let yourself drift a little farther. Beyond the giant galaxy clusters we passed, beyond the long glowing filaments like threads of light, and into a space so wide that every concept you once used to measure anything simply falls away behind you. This is Laniakea, the home region of more than 100,000 galaxies. But from where you're floating now, it isn't a massive shining continent, nor a map full of structure and lines. It is a breath, a pale golden mist stretched across space with no edges at all. You see dense, bright regions where clusters gather like cities of light. You see faint, elongated streams, like unnamed roads connecting those distant cities. And you see soft, warm, open darkness. Spaces so calm that time itself seems to slow as it passes through. Laniakea doesn't spin. It drifts. Drifts like a continent of light moving gently beneath an invisible ocean. No one knows where it's going. No one knows whether it's escaping or returning. There is only motion, slow, long, endlessly quiet. You float in the middle of it all, watching galaxies scatter like petals blown open by distant wind. Clusters spread like thin veils dropped into deep water, and the cosmic web stretching around you like the vast bloodstream of the universe itself. And then you realize something strange and soft. In a space this wide, too wide to name, there is nowhere you must go, and nowhere you can be lost. You keep drifting, slow as a thought that hasn't quite formed. And the deeper you move into Laniakea, the more you sense that this supercluster isn't a thing. It's a current. A current not of water, not of gas, not of light, but of tendency. The tendency of galaxies to move toward one another, without ever touching, like sheets of paper floating on a still lake. Same direction, same rhythm, never colliding, never sinking, just following the quiet flow. From here, you don't see Laniakea with your eyes. You feel it, the way you feel a very gentle breeze while standing still. You don't see the wind, but you know it's there, guiding everything past everything else. With a softness you can't quite describe, you begin to notice the tenderness of the infinite. Huge clusters appearing like gatherings of fireflies, smaller superclusters like patches of thickened mist, and wide, dark corridors like endless hallways. No doors, no endpoints, just a calm so deep your body feels lighter with every second. And then, in the brief moment between two blinks, all of Laniakea seems to tilt. Not spin like a wheel, but tilt like a silk sheet being lifted by two fingers, allowed to fall into its most natural curve. The movement is so beautiful that even time seems to pause for one breath. and you just a tiny speck of awareness. Find yourself drifting along that curve, as if you've known it forever. Inside that slow tilt, a very gentle thought rises. Maybe the universe never meant to overwhelm you. Maybe it only meant to lull you softer. The vastness of Laniakea, instead of frightening you, makes you feel like you can dissolve into it, like one thin layer of mist joining a larger, quieter one. You are small, yes, but not lost, not falling out, not swallowed by the dark, not pushed away from the light. You simply belong. Belong in a way that's thin, soft, hard to put into words, but as easy to feel as a heartbeat just before sleep. And when you rest inside that belonging, the universe feels closer, warmer, as if it leans down to whisper something to you. A whisper not made of sound, but of feeling. Just let yourself drift a little more. Here you are. And now you can let every image of the universe fade softly in your mind. The galaxies drifting like bright grains of dust, the clusters glowing like long, gentle breaths, the quiet strands of the cosmic web weaving together like distant memories. All of it will keep expanding. Whether your eyes are open or closed, the universe won't pause just because you decide to rest. It will keep breathing, keep stretching outward, keep sending its light one quiet step farther. And you don't have to keep up with it. You can let yourself rest. No running, no thinking, no searching for another layer of meaning. Just let your body soften a little. Place your mind in the calmest corner inside you, and breathe with the slowest rhythm of the night. Everything else, the universe will handle. It's wide enough to hold you, soft enough to support you, gentle enough to carry you into sleep, without asking anything more of you. It's time. Let the universe keep expanding. And you can simply rest for a while. Sleep well.